fact, the majority of inshore saltwater anglers who go out fishing on any given weekend end up catching less fish than they want, most of them getting skunked. And the only reason is because they're fishing in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Well, the great news is we have some new software that literally predicts exactly what day and time of day to fish in your area, and we top it off by actually getting on satellite maps every single Friday morning and showing you exactly where to fish based on real-time trends and weather in your area to catch redfish and speckled trout, snook, and flounder. So if that sounds like something that you like, that you benefit from, come join us in the Salt Strong Insider Club. It is guaranteed to help you catch more fish on your next trip, or you don't pay. Go to saltstrong.com, look up at the top, and you'll see a Join Now button, and join us and the 30,000 other anglers in this amazing club. See you in there soon.
It's fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds. Luke Simons, like diamonds. What's up, dude?
Not much. Just ready to talk about boats.
Boats.
A lot of questions coming in, and it's been a crazy market. So we thought we'd do some chatter about it.
Yeah. So is now, right now, the worst time in history to buy a boat? That's the big question. You know, in our community, we have a private insider community now, about 30,000 members in there. And question comes up a lot of people buying boats, including the two of us. I mean, bought a boat here recently. And I remember that's a little over a year ago. Time's flying.
So it was November before last. So a little bit over a year now, and time's flying. And yeah, we were thinking, oh man, like we were buying at a bad time.
Yeah. And we had people then tell us that was the worst time to buy a boat. Oh, there's going to just you wait, you know, because that was in 2019. We were saving up for this boat, and just you wait. There's going to be so many boats out on the market, you know, because the recession's going to come, and all of a sudden everyone's going to be selling them. And now here we are, year and a half later, and boat sales are still out of the roof. The only bad news is these manufacturers can't keep up. They're still backlogged from like a year ago. And we debated having a manufacturer on here. But of course, they're always going to say it's the best time to buy a boat. But I don't know. It's just I wish I had a great answer. I will say, I don't know that there's ever a best or worst time to buy anything. I remember even going back to my very first house I bought right before the big housing bubble. And looking back, that probably was one of the worst times ever to buy the house. But had I just waited it out, now that same house is worth like 3 times what I paid for it, you know, in 2005. It's nuts because that area, it was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, has exploded. And so it's also like, all right, how much time do you have, right? How long can you hold on to something? I do think this whole buying a boat and selling it for a crazy profit, like I guarantee we could sell our Pathfinder now for more than we paid for it.
Yeah, but that's a rarity, right?
But I'm saying that's going away. I think that can't last forever. That's like a sign of a bubble that has to end. To me, that part is absolutely crazy. It just doesn't make sense. You should never be able. I should never be able to. It's very, very odd when you could buy a car or a boat and use and abuse it in saltwater, for instance, and then a year or even 2 later sell it for more than you paid for it. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually be able to do that or not, but either way, the market has definitely been crazy. I think I have to imagine, it seems like now we got past the summer. Last summer, I have to imagine, was probably the craziest boat sales ever. And now I'm seeing, even just looking at used boats, it's just fun to go see what's on the market. And so I do so every once in a while. And I've at least noticed a downtick in the amount of boats that when I see the price, I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to pay it. And then somebody does, like, a while back. And now I'm starting to see at least the used boat market prices seem to get a little bit more back to normal. But again, that's just from just some casual glances at the online sites.
Yeah, I think the ultimate answer is if you're going to use a boat, right? And that's always the toughest part. So many people buy boats and they don't use them enough, which is why a lot of them get sold. But if you're truly, just like buying a house, if you're truly going to use it and it's not there just so you can flip it and try to make a buck, you're in it for the long term, then I always think it's a great idea. It's a great investment. If you're hoping and praying, oh man, this is going to be something I hold on for a year or two and then flip it for what I paid for it or more, because that's what's happened the last 2 years, I think that's a horrible idea. Same with a house right now. I'd be super nervous because it's weird, right? I mean, we have, interest rates is a big deal, right? Interest rates are gone up a bunch just in the past four months, really. And that's a big deal because the average person is financing, their boat. And if all of a sudden interest rates going up, I mean, that payments are going up. And I think at some point, if interest rates keep going up, it's what can destroy the housing market and also, even boat sales. Craziest thing, we were talking with old Hollywood about this, and our dad just bought a boat here in the last 6-7 months, and they called, our dad's name's Larry, and my dad had put the money down for it and called up my dad and like, hey, Mr. Simons, I got some good news and bad news. The good news is your boat arrived here, got delivered today. And he's like, that's great. What's the bad news? Like, well, bad news, there's no engine on it. My dad's like, didn't I pay for an engine? I'm like, yes, sir, you paid for an engine. He's like, well, why isn't there an engine on it? He's like, I don't know. A lot of boats are showing a lot of engines on it. And like, what? Well, what do you suppose we do here? He's like, oh, you could wait it out. Might take us 3 months to get a new Yamaha 200 on this, or we can give your money back and you can keep looking elsewhere. And my dad did. He's like, give him my money back. I'm going to go find a boat with an engine. But Hollywood was telling us, Wells Fargo controls like 70+% of most of the financing for boats, for the marine industry. And now they're having to create a separate division, basically a separate loan. You have to buy 2 loans now, which is not good for the consumer, right? Because you have fees you have to do to start up each one, and obviously 2 interest rates. So you have 1 loan for the actual boat, because you can buy a boat now without a motor, because prior they wouldn't allow you to have a boat without the engine on it if you're buying a new one. And so now there's like 2 different loans. The whole thing's absolutely crazy. Here's what I think is the worst part about this whole process, this whole sales process. And if you've bought anything new, bought a new vehicle for my wife, it's frustrating in terms of salesmanship. I came from the sales side of things, as many of you know. I think it's an art, and the last 2 years it's been a lost art. And what I mean is there's no negotiating. They could care less if you're happy or not. They could care less if you got your power pole you asked for. They could care less if you got the trolling motor. They could care less if things don't work, if batteries aren't there. They could care less. It's just like, yeah, if you don't want it, I got someone else who wants it, right? Like, oh yeah, if you don't want it, someone else will take it. Go find your own motor. It's crazy. My buddy Kyle, he was in the market for a new what are they called? The Ranger, little 4-wheel drive little Ranger, and called up I won't name the company, but big company. And the sales guy was just like, literally finally just said, hey, I don't have time for this. Like, he was asking questions about this Ranger, and he's literally says, hey, Kyle, I'm sorry, but man, I don't have time. I got 3 people who want this. Do you want it or not? He literally said that to him. And like, this is some young punk sales guy who's never learned how to sell before in his life. And he's going to have a rude awakening when all of a sudden this does change, because it will at some point. Nothing goes up like this forever. And Kyle's just like tail between his legs, because he's the only one he could find. He's like, okay, I'll take it. And no negotiating. So for the manufacturers, they're loving this, right? Even talking to Chevy, we got some friends here at Chevrolet, so they have their absolute best year in terms of like total profit ever, even though half the year they didn't have vehicles in the lot. It's because they don't have to get any more rebates. There's no more negotiating. There's no more, hey, let's take $1,000 off. It's like, here's what we got. If anything, they're charging more for the same stuff. So I do think that will change here in somewhere near future. I just don't know when, right? We were talking about that a year ago ourselves after we got our boat. Oh yeah, at some point there's going to be tons of used boats in the market, and it just hasn't happened yet. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Because this is not a sermon by any means. This is more of a conversation we hear about all the time, and people ask us, and I don't want to be the person that says, "Oh yeah, you should go all in. This is the best time ever to buy a boat." And at the same point, I would have been mad if a year ago I told someone, or if they looked to me for advice and said, "Oh man, it's about to tank any minute now," and here we are a year later and things are still going up. It's still
Well,
tough to find anything.
so you mentioned before people buying a boat to try to make money off of it from the price escalation. I think that would be, granted, this is not meant to be investment advice at all. We are not investment professionals. I'll throw that caveat out there. But to me, it seems like it would be a big mistake to buy a boat to try to flip it and make profit, unless you're doing some big refurbs to it. But just to hold it and use it for a little bit and then flip it for profit, the odds of that happening are very, very small.
So let's all agree that that's a very you shouldn't do that. That's just dumb.
Yeah, that's not a smart move.
But the next thing though, Luke, is no one likes a bad deal. No one wants to feel like they got a bad deal. And what I think the fear is, and we hear it from some of the questions we get, is, all right, let's just say I'm going to buy a boat for $50,000. So I'm going to buy this boat. It's at 50 today. There's no discounts because there's no rebates. No one wants to negotiate because they don't have to. And then all of a sudden the market falls out, and those people are dying to sell that boat for 42,000 or 40, whatever the number is. That's what people don't want, is to buy something, get stuck with it, and then feel like, I got a bad deal. Like I could have just waited 3 more months and I could have got it for 42 instead of 50. I think that's kind of the fear, but no one knows.
Yeah, that's the total unknown. I mean, basically, just with the market, right? It's the prices are the prices as of today. They could go higher. They could get better. They could get worse tomorrow. We never really know. And to me, it really should come down to how much are you going to use it, right? So if you're going to buy it and use it once or twice a month and then hope you make money on it later, very bad idea in my opinion. If you just love fishing, you want to have something fun to do for you and the family, or the weekends, you're going to be using it like once a week on average or even more, then probably a good idea. Even if you could have gotten a better price later, you've had so much fun in the meantime where it's okay, it's cool. It was a risk. Could have been better, but hey, you had a ton of fun. And I think it's really about how much you use it. I almost think you have to go into it just expecting for it to be a bad financial decision, but it's just how much fun you're going to have with it. Like how many good memories are you going to create? That should be what the purchase should be for, certainly not trying to make money. And just, if it does take, the market has to go down at some point. It's a matter of when. I thought it would already happen. So I was already wrong. So I can't sit here and give a projection because I have no leg to stand on. But for me, it's about using it, right? It just needs to be the point where, okay, like even if it does go down, I use it so much and I have so many great memories with friends and family that, okay, it's fine. It's a write-off.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to comment in a second about when I believe the market could go down. We were in the financial service industry and I studied that and read up on it like crazy, and we had to make bets on it. And I'll talk about that in a second. But what you just said is the most important part. And it was the same, for my wife and I looking at this house we were going to buy on the lake. It was way over our budget, but and my buddy Chris, he happened to call me that day just to check in. He didn't know about we even look at the house. And I kind of mentioned to him, he's a real estate agent. And he's like, man, you have to go in not caring if it's going to go up or down anytime soon. Just assume it stays even for 30 years. Is this a place you could create amazing memories with your 3 kids and your spouse? And he's like, if it's going to upgrade and you could afford it, if it's going to upgrade your memories and the cool stuff you could do. And if you guys friends with me on Facebook, you see the stuff like my oldest daughter is doing, finding new pets and lizards and turtles and snakes and gators and stuff every weekend, then do it. And we did. And it was the best decision ever. And then that was another one, right? Like, we only bought a year or so ago. And at the time, everyone's like, oh man, the market's going to tank any second. Real estate's going to collapse. And it's still going up as we're recording this. But back to so do it for the memories, right? And even with Saltstrong, we say we're in the memory creating business. We're a fishing club, but end of the day, what gets our juices flowing are the memories, right? In our community, we see them every day, and we get emails, like private emails from moms and dads and grandparents. and just like the smiles and the pictures that they send, that's it, right? We're in the memory creating business. And that's really what's so special about fishing and just boating is as well. Even some of the days that we didn't catch fish, just being out on the boat and some of the funny things that are happening are some of the best memories. So do it for the memories. Flipping back, speaking of flipping back to the investment side of things. So back when we were in the annuity business, the annuities are all based on bonds. So you're constantly looking really at the 10-year was the main one we looked at, but we're always looking at the yield, at the different yields that bonds were doing. And right now, it just happened here recently, first time in a while, an inverted yield curve. And what that means in layman's terms is that if Luke had $10,000, he would get a better interest rate. He would actually make more money by investing in like a 2-year. I'm just giving you an example, a 2-year bond versus like a 15 or 30 or something that's longer out, which doesn't make sense, right? You think, man, if I'm going to have my money held up, right, for 30 years, I should get a better interest rate, which is normally the case. And it just went inverted, which really just means that the traders and really everyone who's making all the things happen behind the scenes in our bond market are thinking that the future is not so bright, basically. It's putting this in layman's terms. Like they're fearful that it might not be as good. And now it has been inverted. So the yield curve is inverted. What that meant back when we were in financial services, once again, we're not financial advisors anymore, don't have any licenses, and don't listen to anything we say in terms of making investment advice. But when that happened, it was at the time, it was 100% of the time. Now with all the stimulus, it's changed a little bit, but at the time, 100% of the time that the yield curve went inverted, a recession happened anywhere from 8 to 18 months. It was usually in that 12 to 16 month range. And that's pretty telling. Like it was literally automatic. And guess what happened in 2006, 2007? That was when the first time it happened, and in the basically 2000s. And guess what happened? Within 18 months, the whole market absolutely collapsed and started a recession. So just throwing out there, do your own research on it. But inverted yield curve, and who knows these days? We've printed off so much money. We've done so many cuckoo things in the government. Who knows what if that really means what it used to mean? But that was, anytime I see that, because I'm constantly just kind of looking at it, I think just from habit, I'm like, oh boy, that's not good news. If anything, it's just something's whacked that it's doing that. So, and I don't even know what that means for boat sales, but
Yeah.
but I would be a little bit more hesitant on that. Anytime you see, and it just makes sense, right? What's going on that the yield curve is inverted, where someone can make more money on let's just say a 2 or 1 year bond than a 5, 10, 15 or 30. Very, very odd.
Yeah, and so I mean, if that was the case, then if there is going to be a downturn, which again we're two just fishing knuckleheads, we don't know. That would make more sense to maybe wait or even get like a smaller boat or something that you really want to get out there, but you can lessen your risk by getting a smaller, less expensive boat. My thought, again, I've always been wrong. I've been wrong for the past year, but my thought is just with how many boats have been sold, I would imagine that the used boat market is going to be just really saturated, but it hasn't happened yet. And so maybe it won't, because so many people bought boats. Eventually there's going to be a lot of people start just looking at their bank accounts, seeing all the extra expenditures from storing it and all that stuff. But it hadn't happened yet. So maybe it won't. I really don't know.
Yeah. And that's where it's hurting people the most. It's not the cost of the boat. It's all the other stuff. It's the gas. I mean, gas obviously is skyrocketed. And especially if you're having to fill up like at a marina, or if you have to store it at a marina, all these marinas and these dry storage, like if you want anything that's covered, remember when we were looking for just to store the stupid trailer, it was obscene. It was like $150 a month outside in basically a parking lot a month just to store a trailer. I mean, back in the day, that was like just throw me $10.
No, more than that, though. But there was a waiting list to even have the opportunity to pay that much money. Every place around here was totally slammed. It was insane. And I don't know if it's still like that or not, but I mean, who would have guessed? Right? It's crazy.
Yeah. And so boat sales are up from what we read in the National Maritime, whatever it is. It's about 13% year over year. I mean, from last year. And last year was massive. And a lot of that was, I don't know how they calculate it. I assume it's when it gets delivered. So there were so many pending orders. It was such a big backlog that they were having to fill a lot of these things. But still, that's a pretty big increase. And now I don't know if it's an all-time high. I think it's 13 or 14 year high for overall boat sales in terms of actual people buying new boats. Pretty wild, and used boats, but meaning anything that happened at the dealer level, not just transactions on Facebook Marketplace for a small John boat or something like that. It doesn't seem like that. That's counting in what we read, but super fascinating. And I think the final answer, if you're waiting for us to come up with some final answer, is just is do it for the memories, and just assume you're going to spend way more money than you thought you would, because you will. And just assume that you're going to have some of the best times of your life in it, because you will, if you use it. Because that's the number one problem is people buy it. They have all these dreams that, we're going to use it every weekend. And then life gets in the way and you stop using it. And it just sits on a trailer and collects spiders and rats, and then they start eating your wires. Next thing you know, you're yelling at your wife. No, boy.
That sounds like a personal problem there. And I'll go the other way, is like why you should not buy it, right? And it's, I would say don't buy it if you're kind of new to fishing and you're thinking, if only I had a boat, I'd be able to go catch those big fish, whether it's a redfish or a snook or trout or flounder. That's a mistake. The benefit, just a huge benefit of inshore saltwater fishing, is that a lot of the biggest fish go up in shallow water to feed, and so you have access to really good fish without a boat at all. You can get a pair of wading boots, and in many cases, like Wader Dave is a great example.
Yep.
I see him all the time. I fish with him multiple times. He's always catching big fish. He actually has a boat, but he prefers to wade fish because
I heard he sold it.
Oh, did he sell it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
But all of his pictures, I don't think I've ever seen a picture with him holding the fish in a boat, and he gets a lot of big fish.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of members who fish from shore. Again, same thing. We both, we paddle fish. We have a lot of members who fish like kayaks. Again, same thing. You catch some giant fish without having a motor at all, just a paddle craft or just some wading boots. So don't do it just to go catch fish, because it's really about, if you really want to catch more fish, is learn the fish behaviors, predict where they're going to be, and then all you have to do is just find spots that you can access either by foot or by paddle. So one of the biggest mistakes I've heard is, oh man, I bought this boat, I thought it would help me catch more fish, and I'm not catching any more fish. Actually, when I got my first boat, I went from fishing out from a kayak. I was used to a kayak. I was getting very consistent over in Melbourne, where I just moved, and I bought a little skiff. And my fish catching went down significantly when I got that skiff, because now I had just more stuff to worry about. I'd have the motor breaking down, and my fishing day was now composed of trying to get back to the ramp with the bum motor, and just the whole slap. It's not like, if only they're only catching fish, or they're catching fish because they have that boat and I don't. That's not going to be the case at all. It's just learn the fish, focus on understanding the fish behavior before you ever buy the boat to help out for that. So,
which is what we teach in the Salt Strong Insider Club, and now have some really cool software that actually tells you and predicts what will be the best days and the time of day. Really, really cool. We had a call today with our head developer, Nick, and oh my gosh, dude, how awesome is that? This is next level in terms of using everything from wind and the radar and the sonar. So you're getting to have these maps overlay and map out your trips on where you're going. It is epic, and you can literally see the waves and the depths everywhere going, and it's like a predictive analysis stuff. It is next level. I was kind of on the fence about, because we already teased that we have some stuff coming that's going to help predict, next level, even better than having a guide on speed dial, next level. And I was like, maybe we'll raise the price of the Insider Club, not for current members, by the way, just for anyone coming in new. And after I saw that today with Nick, I was like, all right, yeah, it's got to happen. This is just so cool, and it is costing us a fortune to build all this stuff. It is so cool. So get in now while you can. Once you're in, you're locked in for life. So that is our promise as an insider member, is once you're in on the annual plan there, or occasionally we have the monthly plan. You're much better. You save like 60% by going annual and just paying up front, but you'll be locked in for life even if we raise the price. So definitely check that out at saltstrong.com. Insider Club. Today, speaking of like the advantage of a kayak, right? It was super low tide. We wanted to get back in this one area where we're having to like sit there and putz around all day to wait for a little bit more water flow. And man, had we had kayaks, we could have been back there crushing them. And we were so shallow when we got back to that one spot where we saw, how many redfish do you think we saw this morning?
There was a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of redfish spooking away from us, we should say.
And I would say not whole slap, but I mean, the troll motor was super loud for how shallow we were, and we're having to adjust it because it was like getting close to the bottom. Like we were just way too noisy for how shallow it was. And those fish, they all spooked out. Had we been in a kayak, we could have seen them, and gosh, we could have just sat there and waited to them. Man, it's so cool to see them, and I love seeing fish, but I really love catching them.
Win some, you lose some. We lost them. We lost today.
Yeah, but that was a good example that the boat actually probably hurt us in that case. And had we been in a bigger boat, we never would have got back there in the first place. We would have been sitting there picking our nose on the outside. So.
Yep, but I'll be curious to see what the comment feed is. Which is about the boating market. It's been pretty wild, and it's been going on for a while too, and it very well could continue. It very well could totally stop. I have no clue. So time will tell. All we can do is make a guess at it.
Yep. So let us know. We obviously we put this on the tube, meaning YouTube, but the main place where we get to see every comment, because it comes to us via email, is over at saltstrong.com. In the fishing tips section, you will see this actual podcast. And the very bottom, there's a little place to comment. And obviously, if you're a member, it'll say that and have you already hopefully logged in. And we'll usually try to respond to every single one. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But love to hear your feedback. And if you happen to be in the boating industry, love your candid thoughts. Anything we missed, I'm sure there are many things. And if you're a financial advisor, you know a whole lot more than me about inverted yield curves, give us some of your tidbits on that. We could all learn from this podcast. A lot to learn from. Anything else, Luke?
I think we covered as much as we could.
Well, let's go boat shopping. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey. All right, everybody. Appreciate you big time. And if you're not an insider member, what the heck are you waiting on? Jeez Louise, $1.87 per week now is what it boils down to, or 27 cents per day. You can't even find a cup of coffee for 27 cents per day. Become a better angler, guaranteed, and save money on your tackle. That's all at saltstrong.com. For you current members, we appreciate you big time, and make sure to get in the community. We're doing some cool giveaways. Gave away a Toadfish travel rod, BG, the Daiwa BGMQ, and now have a new giveaway for this coming month as well. And also did a little giveaway for a free fishing trip with Luke and myself. So a lot of cool things and cool perks, cool things that we love to do to reward our members who are active in the community. That's at community.saltstrong.com. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you in the next episode. Peace. We out. Whoop, whoop.
See ya.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul.